enough to stop the soap operas and get the information to the public. Good morning, everybody. It's 7:52. Welcome back to the program. It is Friday, the 10th of July, and a week from now, we are going to be getting set to head on over to the Iowa Speedway because big events, you guys, happening at the Iowa Speedway. Major event next weekend will be Iowa Corn 300. Craig Floss is here from Iowa Corn. Good to see you, my friend.
Morning, guys. How are you?
Good.
Morning.
Little excited for what's going on?
Just a little excited, absolutely. The 9th running of the Iowa Corn 300, and couldn't be more excited about all the action over the weekend.
You know, we've ramped up the number of laps around Iowa Speedway because, A, they're so fast, you know, and B, it's just plain cool, isn't it?
Fastest short track on the planet. Indy cars run in excess of 180 miles per hour around that 7/8 mile track. So non-stop action, a lot of fun to watch, a lot of fun to ride in. If you ever get a two-seater ride opportunity, you should do it. Very cool.
Jason,
have you done it?
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was very. The G-forces are unbelievable around that track.
Yeah, you were in with what, Leindyke?
Ari Leindyke Jr.
Yeah, stuck him in there. So, but again, as important as anything else, people are wondering what powers those vehicles.
Absolutely. The reason we're involved as Iowa Corn and representing Iowa Corn farmers is the ethanol. Right. And they run on 85% ethanol, the very same thing that you can buy at any E85 tank here in the Des Moines area or around Iowa. And for us, great platform for promotion to be able to talk about the power and performance of ethanol and what it does. And if it works in a race car engine, it ought to be good enough for your engine too. Now,
since you guys got involved with the IndyCar Series, how important has that been?
Oh, significant for us. It's been a really good marriage between Iowa Corn, the Iowa Speedway, and IndyCar. We've been able to get our messages out, not just in central Iowa, but really around the country and around the world, because we television rights for that, so we're able to broadcast our message and, again, talk about that power and performance of ethanol, what it does for the environment, talk about all the great things that Iowa corn farmers do to basically fuel America.
Now, speaking of fuel, we want to talk a little bit about the renewable fuel standard today. And if I'm correct, it doesn't just apply to ethanol; it applies to other things as well. Is that right?
There is a renewable fuel standard was put in place in 2007 to get us to a point where hopefully in the country we could get to a 25% of all of our fuel coming from renewable resources. Okay. It covers not only ethanol and different forms of ethanol from corn, cellulosic ethanol, but also biodiesel from soybeans. So very important piece of legislation. What we're going through right now is a situation where the EPA is looking at the numbers that are supposed to be blended, the number of gallons of ethanol in each gallon of gasoline, and they want to lower that amount. Even though we have mountains of corn, we've got more corn than we know what to do with. Corn is at a very, very low price right now, so ethanol can be made very inexpensively, and it's doing great things for us, but they are lowering that amount.
What is their reasoning for that?
They say that it is actually causing a disruption in the marketplace and that there isn't enough. The argument doesn't have any water, doesn't hold any water whatsoever.
Well, they're saying it has something to do with the food supply, and that really doesn't.
It is a little bit of that, and it also has to do with long-term outlook and can we continue to supply. And we've never not been able to supply enough corn for ethanol, as well as meet all of the food and fuel requirements for everything else.
So is there something else that's actually behind this, or are you able to comment?
Do you want the cynical side, Jason? Here's what I think it is. We are taking more and more of big oil market share away. Right. So the reality is that this is really about big oil and their arguments and their money and the lobbying behind that are preventing us from making a dent.
Which leads me to the next question. One of the knocks against ethanol has always been the fact that it's subsidized, but big oil is subsidized like crazy as well.
So the farmer gets absolutely no subsidy from the federal government for ethanol. The ethanol plants get absolutely no subsidy. All that we have is the renewable fuel standard, which requires that we utilize the fuel in the gasoline supply. And what's that done for us? Number one, it's reduced our dependence on foreign oil from 50+% to now in the 30s. It cleaned up the environment. I don't know if you've traveled to places like California or New York. The air is clean. That's a result of ethanol because it's an oxygenate. It's done great things for rural America. 55,000 jobs right here in Iowa alone that are part of the ethanol complex. The run-up that we've had in ag prices over the last 6 to 8 years have been mostly because of the ethanol and fuel market.
Right now, currently, the percentage of ethanol in gasoline is?
Across the country, we are at near 10%. And so part of the rationale is that it's going to be difficult because we don't have the infrastructure, meaning the number of pumps out there. We're just at the point where companies are going to have to start putting in the necessary infrastructure to get to a higher blend. We have clearance, for example, to burn E15. So instead of E10, which we all burn today, in fact, the whole country does, especially in clean air areas, we can go to E15 in 2001 model years and newer. And we've got some stations in Des Moines that are now beginning to offer that.
I was going to say, when is that going to be available, or it is?
It is already available. You can get it now. We've got just a few stations, but more and more are coming online.
Okay, so we'll pay attention to that too. So the more that come online, we'll let people know about it too.
So what do people do?
I was going to say, is there a place for more information or to speak our voice on something like this?
What would be great, thank you for asking that. If you go to iowacorn.org, there is a button that says don't mess with the RFS, which is the Renewable Fuel Standard. You click on that button, and there you will be able to link directly to, you can do something as simple as click a box for a postcard that will go directly to the EPA. What would really be helpful if folks would tell their own story. How has ethanol impacted me? What's it done to my economy, my local area? Write a few comments, and there's an area there to do that as well. All those comments matter. In fact, we just had a big renewable fuel rally in Kansas City. The EPA did hearings down there. Governor Branstad was there, knocked it out of the park in terms of his directness to the EPA on what this would do. Governor Nixon from Missouri was there, did exactly the same thing. Our Secretary of Agriculture, Bill Northey, was there, did exactly the same thing. We had 300 people speaking to the EPA that all got 3 minutes to speak their piece about why this is important. Overwhelming majority were people supporting it, not were supporting ethanol, and certainly we're not supporting what the EPA wants to do.
All right, so we'll just make sure we keep our tabs on that too, so we can find out what's going on. Okay, big story is next week, Iowa Corn 300.
Iowa Corn 300, July 18th. Don't miss it. It's going to be an awesome time.
It'll be fun. And if you're at the Speedway too, pay attention to what you hear on the speakers, because there's a lot of really cool Iowa Corn information that we share during the race and pre-race and things like that, so you might want to check that out too. So
iowacorn.org, go and click that RFS button. Don't mess with it.
And don't forget about Free Stuff Friday. We have a heck of a package courtesy of this guy over here, Iowa Corn 300 package. It does include a couple of really good seats to the race, a couple of t-shirts, really good parking, food, drink. This is the way to go to the race.
Yeah.
And you have a chance to win that today. We just want you to become part of our breakfast club. Go to our Facebook page to get all the details. Craig, good to see you, my friend.
Thank you, Luke.
We'll see you next weekend.
Good to see everybody. Thank you very much.
It is 8 o'clock. You're watching